do have something. This is actually our second surprise that as I said, we had tried to contact Scott Glosserman and were unable to make it work that he would be with us. And actually I had asked Kane if he would do a shout out, and he was gracious enough that he offered to join us. But I do have something I would like to play for you.
Hello, Donald Pleasance here from Behind the Mask. No, it's Robert Englund. I was doing an homage to Mr. Pleasance in The Rise of Leslie Vernon, and I'm here to give a shout out to my creator, Scott Glosserman. Hello, Scotty. And I'd also like to say hi to my two wonderful co-stars, two of my favorite actors, Angela, Nathan. Hi, you guys. Hope everybody's okay in this time of COVID. Bye-bye.
Oh my goodness.
Look at that sweet face.
That's amazing. Listen, I'm a girl who calls faces sweet. You know, it's not just the face, it's the man behind the face.
Behind the mask, you might say?
Perhaps you might say that. Yeah.
The spit guard.
See Robert next time at a convention and give him shit for not mentioning my name.
Yeah.
Seriously.
Well, you were a surprise.
That'll just be one more reason for the two of you to get into a film together.
No, he's a good buddy.
That was awesome, DonnaJean. Whoever made that happen, thank you. That was so cool.
You could go for like a 5-hour tour around his house where he tells you about every single picture on the wall, and it would basically be a museum of film history, right? Like
probably.
Totally.
He basically knows every actor who's been in anything ever, and it's an education and a delight to chat with him.
So true. He actually, not to, make it about me, but he saw a play I did in New York when I was like a child, and not only remembered the play, but remembered me in it, and went on to tell me when we worked together that it was one of the best things he'd ever seen, and he and his wife continued to talk about it to this day. And so legit, he's seen everything and knows everybody. I do believe that.
Home Alone was on Broadway?
Nice, Ben.
We saw, Nathan and I went to see Angela in A Long Day's Journey into Night in Los Angeles, and she was amazing.
Yeah, and she never talks about it. She never talks about how we came to see her in the show.
She never gives us credit for...
We talk about it all the time.
No,
our perspective on what good theater is, what quality theater is.
She did a little Irish, little Irish.
I did.
She did a little nip in the old
That's right. That was amazingly masterful how you made it about me, but really about you. I don't know how you did it, but you did it.
It's my move. It's like judo.
We're weaving. Yeah, you use their force against themselves.
I love you. I love you guys. I love you and your sweet faces.
I know that with Behind the Mask going on 14 years old, and the comic book having come out and having been that. But because of going to a lot of conventions, because of having the interview show, I know a lot of indie filmmakers. And a number of indie filmmakers have mentioned to me, like, see if they're going to do another sequel. The money didn't make it last time, but it would make it now. So if that
I would single-handedly support every money you need.
If it was presented to you that they wanted to do this, would you be interested in doing a sequel? Because, honestly, the way that it was left, it wouldn't matter that some time has come by. In fact, if anything, that might benefit you because you'd have a lot of things to fill in, or maybe Leslie was in the hole for, or whatever. But would you be interested in doing it? And if so, where could you imagine your characters having gone because of what happened?
I think that, I mean, well, first of all, yes, 100% enthusiastic, yes, to doing anything with these folks, and particularly continuing to tell these characters' stories would be an honor and a privilege for sure. Our fans have been so amazingly enthusiastic and supportive as well. So it feels like a big warm hug every time we talk about it. So, but I would say, one of the things that Nathan, I and Benj have talked about over the years is like, the more time passes, the sort of like awful truth of of that conceit where you're like, I'm going to be the biggest thing this world has ever known. And then when that doesn't happen exactly the way that you had hoped or planned, I think as actors, we know that particular push-pull between, the dreams of a young actor and the drive, and then kind of the exhaustion that can set in over time, and the different paths that your life can take. And so I think similarly with this story and these characters, the central thing is like, I did all the things and I was going to be the next big thing, and then not only did that not happen, but here we are talking about if we're making a sequel, not when we're making like part 3 or 4, so it's I think that to me anyway, is kind of the most humbling and one of the more interesting possible threads, to tease out with these characters.
Yeah, I agree. I think that something that resonates about that kind of arc for me that you just described, Angela, is, here's Leslie, and it was myself too. I felt the same in my career arc as Leslie was. It was like, here's the biggest, tastiest, piece of meat that I'm ever going to get offered as an actor, and an opportunity to just knock it out of the park, and be the next big thing, and that just doesn't happen. Well, I think hopefully everybody has an opportunity to relate to that kind of thing, of just like feeling like you are on the precipice of greatness, and you're just having a really fantastic opportunity extended to you, and you're just maximizing every ounce of that opportunity. Hopefully everybody has that experience, but everybody has the experience of falling on their face, falling down, and trying to pick themselves up again. Yeah, everybody does it in their own unique way, but
I've done it
that's
thoroughly.
something that I feel like is really a human story to tell, and one that you can tell whether Leslie is 40 years old when he's telling it, or 50 years old, or 60 years old. Is how did he bounce back? Did he bounce back?
I think one of the big hurdles was losing Scott Wilson, and who was, may I say, just a delight and so kind and talented. But I don't mean to put you on the spot here. Maybe Kane could, who knows, maybe there might be an opportunity for him to fill in a similar Eugene role. But I think everyone would love to make a sequel. Apparently it's, I don't know, hard to make movies, but
Likes that idea
I
a
think
lot.
there's drive there from the creative end. There have been scripts and things passed around, and so I think part of it is the will of the producers, and a large part of it is just securing the funds. Apparently, they're expensive to make movies. I don't know. But
Well, yes, it's hard to make a movie. It's hard to get the funds together for a movie, but a conversation that we've been having more and more amongst ourselves has been, do we need to make a movie? There's lots of media out there, and lots of different formats, and certainly one out there should let us do what we want to do in furthering the story without requiring a whole bunch of resources in order to do that. And so we've been talking more and more, and I think there's a lot of possibility for us to move along in a more short form way. than we'd be able to do with a film. And I think that's exciting for all of us because, yeah, we'd love to keep working together and keep telling these interesting stories that, yeah, I think Behind the Masks approach is different than a lot of horror movies because it's coming from a kind of philosophical point of view. Putting a philosophical lens on this genre that we all, appreciate, I think is something that we do uniquely well. And I'd love if we were able to continue doing that.
I saw an interview with Scott a couple of years ago, I think, where he was talking about the idea or the possibility or the thought of like a mini series, say on Netflix or something, of having Leslie like interacting with the various horror slashers, like with Jason in one and Freddy in another and stuff. And that it got me so excited that I remember it a couple years later. I remember seeing that interview and thinking, oh, wow, wouldn't that just be perfect? Where that could go would be so fun.
Well, Scott Glasserman will charm you with his creative exuberance at any moment. So he's full of great ideas, and I would love it if that came to fruition.
Same.
And I agree. I mean, you all are the ones that made this film what it is, obviously. I had such a small contribution to it. I just feel fortunate because because of, being known as the characters and stuff, sometimes I'll get offered a little cameo in a movie and I'll do it just because it sounds interesting or whatever. And then I'll see the movie and say, that was all right. But this was one where I was so happy to have been involved because you people all are so creative and so talented. And the cast and the rest of the cast is just very well put together. And, I've been doing this for 43 years now, and it doesn't happen very often that way. And I personally would love to be involved in another version and maybe a little more so involved or something, just because I love the challenge. And I worked with Scott back with Charlize Theron on Monster.
Wow.
Scott Wilson.
Yeah, Scott Wilson. Right. Not Glosserman, sorry. Scott Wilson. And, we talked a lot then just because as a stunt coordinator on the movie, I had a cameo where I arrested Charlize at the end, but it wasn't much. But talking to people like that just seemed to be, and I don't mean to be disrespectful, but it almost seemed like they were too good for the movie they were doing sometimes. And, had such Nathan, it's a pleasure to watch you work in the final product, especially. And I just enjoyed the whole process. And, and people that know me know I don't bullshit about something like that just to make people feel good. I say what I feel. And I wouldn't have been involved in this right now had I not admired all you guys. So thank you.
I'm going to be calling you very soon, Kane, because I'm working on a project actually that's Behind the Mask related, and you've actually been in my mind a lot for it. Because and so I would like to write you into to what I'm working on, because it would be a hoot to work with you and have some scenes with you and an arc with you. It would be awesome.
I would love it. I mean, I never thought I would enjoy delivering dialogue as much or developing a character as much as I enjoyed doing stunts. I would never have thought that, but it is in fact the case. So I would love to do something more with you, especially.
I'd love that taking the mask off is a distinction for you. There's something about the anonymity of being able to put something up and become something, or become a version of yourself, an amplified version of yourself, but then to take it off, I don't know. There's something metaphysical that happens there that's really interesting to explore about, and it's a very small community, relatively speaking, of the mask wearers. You know, it's a small team. You know, so it's something that's of interest for me to explore. Is talking with those people, mostly men, who have had an experience of putting the mask on and wearing it around for a while, and in some cases, you know, Scott was a really sad example. You know, we're losing these guys. A lot of these guys, you know, they were stunt actors who, you know, had a shot at Jason or Michael for a film, and they knocked it out of the park. And you go to enough conventions and you mix with these guys enough, you start hearing these conversations of these stories of their career and anecdotes about, you know, not just the work that they did as Michael or Jason, but the work that they did over a 40-year career, you know, 40+ year career of stunt work and, you know, working behind and in front of the camera. And man, these are stories. It's like the Greatest Generation, you know, World War II guys who were losing these guys, and we're not getting their stories. You know, you know, we got to get them in front of the camera, and we got to, you know, hear about their background and their contribution to the genre. You know.
Yes.
Well, sadly, my little timer had gone off about a minute ago. So if you do need to go, Angela, I love you.
I love you all so much. I love all your sweet faces, especially yours, Kane.
Oh, sweet.
Oh,
So if anything comes of that project, interview rights.
Yes, you're gonna be the one we come to, no matter what, DonnaJean. And Noah, thank you, and thank you to your dad. And I love you, Nathan, Benj. I miss you.
Okay.
I'll see you soon.
Angela, you're the best. We love you.
Bye.
bye.
Scott Wilson wave. Scott Wilson wave. Yeah, I would say to that end that I love the fact that horror fans would enjoy any sort of sequel or spin-off project, but honestly, we just have so much fun hanging out. You know, Nathan and Angela and Britton and Scott Wilson and, you know, Robert Englund and now Kane and everybody, you know, it was just like the best time ever to be on that set in Portland, Oregon for 6 weeks or whatnot. So, you know, for me, I was standing behind the camera, behind the mask, behind the camera for weeks before, you know, you ever saw Britton and me on screen. And it was just like an acting workshop. I mean, I was just observing Nathan and Angela and you know, Scott Wilson and everybody, and it was like a invaluable education. So it was just so much fun and so instructive, and I would, you know, I think all of us would do it again in a heartbeat.
Oh yeah, it was definitely a team effort, and that's something that comes through. And it's so great, you know, what Kane's reflecting too, and you know, Robert Englund is a huge cheerleader for the film, as everybody feels like they were a part of something that was, you know, a great, you know, collaboration, and all, you know, from pre to production to post and everything. You know, like Kane was saying, there's there's a lot of ways for a movie to go wrong in the process, and unfortunately, very few films have the, I don't know, resiliency or whatever it is to make it all the way and end up with a product that is really good quality, that you stand behind and that you recommend to others, you know, without reservation. It's an honor to be a part of something like that. I hope to be a part of something like that again, but you know, it definitely feels like, well, hey, I got one under the belt, you know, so I can retire and I got lucky.
Well, what would be interesting as like a sequel or maybe a spinoff is, since Behind the Mask kind of connects everything, like all the flashes together, is kind of bringing them together in like an Avengers level type thing, where like they're going around and all the, like, Freddy, Jason, Michael Myers, Hellraiser, Ash, they could all come in, be like an Avengers type thing. That'd be pretty cool.
The super villains.
Yeah, behind the mask could be at the center of all of it.
Yep.
It makes sense, but I would liken it to you know, Sony and Marvel's negotiations just for Spider-Man, you know, and plugging him into the Marvel MCU. The headaches, the legal nonsense that went on forever just to try to plug Spider-Man into the MCU was insane. We have all of these different franchises having to, you know, negotiate their piece of the pie would just be a legal nightmare. But I agree, it would make fantastic sense to bring all of these icons together, not just in a Freddy versus Jason kind of way, but in a way where all of these guys are playing in the same universe. And, you know, it's an extension of what we were talking about in Behind the Mask, but with mask on, you're actually seeing these icons instead of them being talked about, you know? So it's a real trick to pull off, but it would be one that I think ultimately would serve everybody really, really well.
I saw that firsthand with trying to just have Freddy and Jason in the same film. They were talking about that shortly after we did Jason Takes Manhattan in 1989. They were discussing it. Then we did Jason Goes to Hell, totally different. Then we did Jason X, totally different. Eventually, they were finally able to hammer out the legal hassle, and that was just two characters together. And so you're totally right about how difficult. I wish it wasn't that way, but it would be amazing.
Yeah, but you see how difficult it is for Marvel and Sony to make it work. But when it finally does, I mean, it's a cash cow. Why would you ever, you know, put obstacles in front of, you know, something like this working out for everybody? It works out for everybody, you know. You know, having a universe in which all of these people are playing in the same sandbox would just be profitable for everybody. But there's so many proprietary restrictions and everything that you'd have to, you know, work through, so much red tape to cut through. I just don't know that it could. But something that you can do, which Behind the Mask showed, and which I'm interested in continuing to explore, is you can talk about these characters with the mask off. You know, you can have these conversations with the mask off, and it blurs lines in a really interesting way. If I'm having a conversation with Kane Hodder, and he's Kane Hodder, but Kane Hodder has also been one of these icons that wore the mask for a while, you know? Whoa, okay, well, let's have a conversation, Kane. And is the conversation that we're having right now, Kane, is it an honest conversation because it is blurring those lines between who you were for a while when you had that mask on, and what you did for a while when you had that mask on, and who you are when you're just living your life and going about, you know, your life. I think it does blur lines in a really interesting way. If we don't know when we're talking to Kane, if we're talking to, you know, Kane the actor, or Kane the, you know, stunt guy, or Kane when he put the mask on and did what he did. And how do you feel, Kane, about having put the mask on and done what you did? You know, do you have any qualms about that? Do you have any, you know, reservations about putting the mask on and doing those things to innocent people? You know, I think some interesting conversations come up when you start blurring the lines like that.
Do you regret all that murder?
Well, you know, or is it? Or were you a craftsman and you did what you did, you know, or you're, you know, maybe you're not a craftsman, but you're you know, what's that?
You have to have a certain frame of mind to do scenes like that, but also trying to put something more into it than just the violence. And that's where I enjoyed it so much, was, you know, playing a character with a mask on, with no facial expressions, no voice. I'm sure as an actor, anyone would say, wow, that's a challenge, because my facial expressions and my voice are my, you know, ticket to success. But take away those two and now still try and put emotion into it, a lot of people think, it's hopeless, so they don't even try. That's why I always tried to strive to put as much character as I could into a vision of a character that appeared to be almost like a mannequin, really. So,
well, Jason had a way of standing that was intimidating. And I've heard you talk before that you were very aware of that.
Oh,
and
for sure. I had many makeup tests over at John Beekler's shop, and I always credit him for the fact that I ever was in the position to play the character, because he knew I could. I thought I could, but he knew I could pull it off, because I'm not the biggest guy that's ever played Jason, but he knew, he had confidence in me, and I thought I could do it too. But the fact that he was so confident helped me even more. And we had so many makeup tests before principal photography started that I would put the entire makeup, bodysuit, everything on, and then work in a mirror by myself with nobody around, just doing things and see what I liked. And fortunately, most of the decisions I made with what I liked, what I thought looked good on camera, was accurate. So, but that's what really helped, just working with it before we ever got on the set.
That's funny, because I didn't have a whole lot of background in horror before I did Behind the Mask. You know, for a movie that's about, and Leslie is so much about the genre, right? And, you know, I'm playing a guy, but I have zero back. Well, you know, I'd seen a couple of the Friday the 13th movies, but generally I'm kind of like Angela. I'm a scaredy cat, you know? So I hadn't seen a whole bunch. I did see the first Friday the 13th, though. I rented that, and I was like, I got to get that under my belt, you know? But I just saw Halloween for the first time last year, I think. So I'm still learning. But in any case, I didn't really have a reference for the physicality of the guys behind the mask.
But more of a testament to your performance then. The fact that you can pull it off without having that built-in stuff just is more impressive from an acting standpoint.
Well, I think because the stuff with mask off, I felt like I was competent in that. I'm saying words that are already constructed really well. It's solid. Basically, all I have to do is say those words and not screw up saying those words. That part takes care of itself. But the mask on stuff, I didn't have a frame of reference for that. And so I remember the night that I was doing the mask on for the first time. And we're in this apple orchard and we're doing all these shots, and I'm doing all these kind of like physicalities that I developed, you know, because I thought, whatever. Scott comes over to me after a couple of takes, and he's like, all that stuff you're doing, you don't need to do that. You just stand there. Just stand there. And from then on, I was like, okay, I get it. You don't have to do anything. You just have to be, you know. But I kind of got the hang of it over the course of time. And I saw, like what you were talking about, Kane, is that there's something kind of meditative that can happen when you're wearing the mask. Something almost kind of channeling that you can do with the mask on, that I think you probably wouldn't give yourself that kind of license if you didn't have the anonymity of the mask, you know. And the psychological part of that I found really fascinating exploring as we went on with the shooting with the mask on portions of it.
And I've always talked about, I think, Jean, you've heard me talk about this before, that when I was shooting, you know, Jason Takes Manhattan was shot in Vancouver, Canada, except for one night we went to New York City and shot in Times Square. And out of all the films I've ever done, that is the single most amazing night of shooting I've ever spent, because I was in the full costume in the middle of Times Square with hundreds of people watching from all sides, held back by police barricades.
Oh, that's insane.
And I never took the hockey mask off the whole night. even between
yeah.
shots, because
Oh,
I
yeah.
didn't want to ruin the image of people looking. I wanted
yeah.
to kind of stay in character, which maybe is a little ridiculously method, but I didn't want to
No.
ruin it for them.
Yeah.
So it
Yeah.
was just, you know, I just wanted to keep the image for them, for their sake. And it also helped my performance, I think. So.
That's interesting because I did the same thing from very early on. I just made the decision as soon as I get the costume, as soon as I get the outfit and we start shooting that stuff, I'm just, when I've got the mask on, don't fuck with me. Just don't even bother me. Don't come around me. Don't talk to me. Just don't fuck with me because I'll kill you. When I got the mask on, when the mask is off, you know, it's fine, you know, whatever. But when the mask's on, don't fuck with me. And I think that really was helpful for me going on because it allowed me to get into a state of mind that I think I wouldn't have been able to channel if I hadn't, you know, if I allowed for anything to distract me when the mask is on, you know. I think it was a real, psychologically, it was helpful for me.
I just wish that more actors that play a character in a mask would take that approach, because I think it's nothing but good for the performance, for sure. And a good portion of actors that I've talked to playing a role like yourself don't take it seriously enough while they're in the mask. And you did, and that's why I love the performance so much. And I just wish more people would realize that it'll work out better that way.
And I think one of the more interesting scenes in Behind the Mask, Nathan, is when you're saying goodbye to us, right? Like the documentary's over or whatever. When you have the mask on but on top of your head, it's
Right.
like the only time in the movie where it's half and half.
Yeah.
Where you're in the boy, but you're also still Leslie.
But it's propped up on the top of the head. It's kind of like
scary.
a ridiculous, it's got a ridiculous quality to it, you know, but
about as creepy as the movie gets is that scene where you're half in, half out.
right. Yeah, there is one moment when Britton Todd Best falls into the mud blood and he kind of knocks the mask off, and that is
That's
the
a
one
really good
kind of
scene.
the one time where you see Leslie still in character without the mask on. The
And
rest
that's
of the time,
horrifying. That's horrifying scene because you actually see the malice on your face as opposed to just this blank mask.
right.
And Nathan, did you approach that with that in mind, that when the mask was going to be on top, it was going to be kind of a combination with the two characters? Were you that aware? I bet you were. I'm sure of it.
Yeah, well, I was very cautious to never have the mask on my face when I'm doing the documentary stuff.
Right.
There is a moment where he slides out, you know, kills the first couple, and then comes back in, and then Taylor's freaking out. But we staged it in such a way that I'm turned away from camera. My back is to the camera when I put the mask on and then slide out. And then when I pop back in, it immediately is coming right off as soon as I'm coming in. And so I never really have it on in the documentary format ever. The closest it comes to that is where it's sitting on top of my head. And like I said, that felt like it's kind of ridiculous. It's the look of it is ridiculous. So it's not.
But it's ridiculous, but it's not funny.
Yeah.
It's still fucking creepy.
It's creepy.
Yeah.
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 Well done.
Oh yeah, that was the upstairs bedroom scene.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is really happening. That one.
You did the fornication sound effect.
Oh yeah, I did the little spoiler. I did the male side of the sex scene voiceover sounds.
I don't know if I can ever look at you from the window knowing that.
I also put on a full costume and stood in front of the mirror for that. But,
He was a teenage fornicator.
yeah. I put in more giggles than I would in real life, but you know.
Yeah, I noticed it. That was a little.
He was just happy to be there, you know.
You could really tell. He was just like,
Yeah. He was a first timers club, I think.
Mhm.
Um,
He broke the rules then. Right there, he broke the rules. That's
yeah. What I was going to say a minute ago to Nathan's point about, filmmaking at large is, it's kind of interesting that it is about the lighting and the camera angle and the smoke in the background and the music later and the editing. So, I think his approach and what Kane was saying earlier about, just being that character, not having to do too much. It's sort of realizing that you're, leading a team, basically, a whole team of people who are supporting that image and that effect at that time. So, Nathan can be still, but still be terrifying because there's all these other film elements going on. So,
yeah, but a lot of people don't realize is that even like just because like it's a movie you're watching, it's funny or it's fun or whatever, it's still like an art form. So you got everything just right. I think especially like horror as a genre itself is on a much higher scale of an art form than any other type of genre of film because you have to get it exactly right or it's just not gonna work.
Yeah, but I think it's really a testament to, Jaron, our DP, and the editors, and the Gordy, the who did all the music. All those elements really give it a lot of depth.
Okay, I'm afraid we've been kind of going on a bit. While I would much rather stay on chatting with you folks than not, we probably should bid our farewell for the time being, and hopefully this pandemic will be over before long. And I look
Yeah, so I
forward
can film my movie.
Yeah. Good time to go back and watch old horror movies.
Exactly.
Or look at old pictures. When I was in my short run of college, my hair was exactly like Noah's. No joke.
We've got to see pictures of that.
I had a nice, beautiful, what we called an afro. I don't know what you call it now, natural or whatever, but that's exactly how my hair was in college.
This is way too good to be natural. Okay, natural, but like,
That'd be funny with the hockey mask over top of that.
yeah, because of the strap up top, it would look like this.
Oh,
So-
that's good. Look.
You'll of course provide you'll of course get a copy of a photo
Yeah.
that is being referenced there, and we'll be able to see this. So you'll include
Yeah,
it in
in
the
fact, we
put it
can
in
hold
an
on
edit.
and wait. If you want to go get a picture, we'll wait.
I don't know where it exists, mine, but I just want to say thank you all for including me in this because I had such a small part to a contribution to this film, but it's one of my more proud moments.
That's awesome.
That I talk about when people say, "What are your favorite movies you've done?" Always bring it up. So thank you for
Thanks so
involving
much,
me.
Kane.
What an honor.
And
Great to see you again.
I hope we can do something again. And Nathan, you can contact me or you have that info, right?
I don't. I can get it.
Okay.
Yeah, I
I
can
will,
shoot him.
I'll
I'll
definitely
shoot
be
him your
reaching out to
email
you
because I do have your
soon.
email. So
Okay. Thank
Kane,
very
before you
much,
go,
guys. What?
before you go, so when I was at a convention, I was actually getting the Leslie Vernon Mask Science, like my third signature. I have you. You told me a story about when you entered the house during your scene, how that wasn't supposed to happen. And I thought it was a great story. I was wondering if you want to tell them what happened.
Well, I'd rather hear your version of it first and see if
Okay,
it's
so
see if I related it correctly.
what you
What
told me was you weren't supposed to go into the house. They only rented the outside of the house. They only paid for the outside of the house. But you went in anyways. And
Because I was walking up to the front porch,
yeah.
my scene, ringing the doorbell or whatever. And like you're saying, I thought they had the entire house, not just the exterior. So I walked in and
Yeah.
there was somebody sitting there. What are you doing? I was like, oh, we don't have the inside of the house, do we? And, sorry. But I was just
great.
happy to be at that house, man. That's an iconic house.
And you had a lovely chicken dinner. Invited you in.
That reminds me of the library shot in the movie where we went up, running up the side of this building and we're pretending like we're picking the lock to break into the backside of the library. Well, it was the backside of a bingo hall, We open the door and we go in and we're interrupting a bingo game for
Right.
15 minutes. We're sitting there because we need the setup to reshoot, redo the shot. We can run up that, side of the building and then pick the lock and then go back in. They're setting up the shot. The whole thing takes 15 minutes. We're interrupting their bingo game for 50. Can you imagine if that was your weekly bingo game? Like, that's what you live for, that game.
Right.
And
You don't
here
necessarily
are
need
these
bingo game.
knuckleheads crouched in the, over by the door. The lights are on, everything, the lights are off, everything, is interrupted for 15 minutes, these guys.
But didn't you win a bingo prize?
No. We announced one. That was like how we're going to make our presence better, how we're going to make interrupting your game better, is that we
Like,
are
surprise,
gonna-
it's planned.
Yeah.
Well, anyway, once again, thank you guys. And Noah, I'm also interested in your movie. If you don't cast me, I'll fucking kill you.
I mean, if you want to be in it, you can be in it.
That's awesome. Wow, what a great surprise.
Thank you.
Yeah, that was great. It's great to see.
Thank
I
you
know.
guys so much. Keeping my fingers crossed I'll be able to run into you before terribly long.
Nathan, have you seen Kane Hodder at conventions and stuff? You guys hang out?
We've never really hung, but we've definitely had, chit chat and, conversations around the tables and whatnot. And he's always just been a really great guy and, great cheerleader of the movie. And
I think it's so cool that he and Robert Englund are like best friends. I'm calling them best friends. I'm adding this storyline in my head.
You're gonna
You just
invite
watch
yourself
Favorite
over.
Seasons, like, now it doesn't feel real anymore.
They go swimming. They play bingo.
Okay, I know Ben and Nathan can keep talking, but
Yeah.
I'm going to sign off and
Thank you.
I appreciate you making this happen, DonnaJean. It was great to see you guys both, and always great to see you, Ben Pace.
Yeah, thanks for letting me crash your party. Appreciate all the interest and all the love. It's great to hang with you guys.
well, I'm
Yeah.
really hoping that we'll be able to see you guys again doing something together in the future because you
Yeah.
have a dynamic that just really works.
To all the behind the mask who couldn't make it, we love you all, and to all the fans out there, thanks for believing.
Don't stop believing.
You don't have the rights to that song. We're gonna get copyright claimed.
This, by the way, was the handout thing for Behind the Mask at our first convention was this little heart. Do you
Oh,
have
that's
it?
cool.
And it says, "Meet Leslie Vernon. He'll steal your heart."
Literally.
Yeah.
So much creativity.
Yeah, I still would like mine back, please.
Post hole digger not included.
Oh, I got one. It's fine.
Take care, all.
This interview was brought to you by Deadly Grounds. If you don't see them at a con, you can also order online. And check out their website for their amazing flavors.